Clash of Clans podcast, OG, episode 32. And welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Scotty827, joined in studio, well, kind of in studio, virtually, by your other co-host, Tip Dog 20.
What are you talking about? I'm sitting right beside you.
Right next to me. And the fabulous Nico from World Base Building.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you, Tip. Do you want to do a little bit of a fuller introduction?
Sure. So I actually only recently found out about World Base Building. Well, recently is in probably 6 months ago. I was warring with the 12 Mutineers clan family, great clan family. They have some awesome esports team, great organization. Fox does a great job organizing that. And they are actually partnered with World Base Building to get all of their bases done. And every single month, and as Scotty, as we're finding out, like the defensive side of base building, or the defensive side of Clash of Clans, is just as important as the offensive side. Although in the current meta, it's a little easier to 3-star, but if you can keep people from 3-starring your bases while you work on your attacks, then you can definitely do better in CWL. You can promote all of that. So 12 Mutineers was buying these base packages from this base building company that I'd never heard of. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. A new base building company. That's awesome. And one day, just a testament to their customer service, we had a few bases that weren't holding up as well as the leaders thought that they should have. And so they reached out to World Base Building. They sent a representative over to look over them. And then they were, of course, going to adjust them, find out where they can build better. That was, of course, at the start of the Root Rider Rampage, where everybody, 99% of players were using Root Riders, just really difficult to defend against. But the representative that they sent was none other than Ghost Knight himself. And Ghost Knight popped into the clan, and I saw him. And this is funny, but I thought maybe he was coming by to say hi to me, because, I'm this super special, super popular Clash of Clans podcaster, right? And I know that he was associated with the Crystal to Join podcast. I thought, oh, maybe he has friends in here, and I can say hi, he can say hi, blah, whatever.
You guys sit down. I'll get this.
So he popped in. I'm like, oh, hey, Ghost Knight, what's up? He's like, oh, hey, Tip, how's it going? We had a little banter back and forth. And then he's like, okay, so somebody make me elder so that I can look at some of these bases, that are not doing as well. And then it clicked in my brain. I had heard of Ghost Knight being a base tester for this random base building company that I had no clue who they were. And I'd heard about this on the CQJ podcast, and I was like, oh, okay. And then it clicked that Ghost Knight was actually a base tester for World Base Building, which was the base building company that 12 Mutineers was buying all the bases from. So that's how I was introduced and received that personal connection with World Base Building. Of course, we had Ghost Knight on. Great interview. I learned a lot. I know you learned a lot as well.
It has been inspiring my climb.
Your massive 3-star win streak. And so Ghost Knight actually connected me with Nico, and I haven't talked a lot with Nico. So Nico, I don't know a lot about you. Do you mind maybe telling us a little bit about your Clash of Clans journey? Like, what town hall do you play? I know you probably aren't as active now since you're running a base building company, and I'm sure you probably have real life stuff that goes on. Yeah, right. Not like you don't have 20 million things on your plate, but kind of give us an introduction of who you are, and then also a World Base Building. Like, who is it? What is it?
Okay, so I'm Nicolas. I'm actually Dutch, but I grew up in Belgium. So I like many people, I started Clash of Clans like when I was young, when I was like 12, 13 years old, and then I kept playing it in high school, and then COVID came, so I had nothing better to do than to learn the game a bit more seriously, build bases, and make them. And of course, like every young man, I wanted to make some money online. So
Nice.
that's how I first was introduced into the esports world of Clash of Clans, like with one V1 tournaments. Those were happening at night, as many of them were from the USA. And also, I started building bases, a lot of bases. And then I joined my first base building server, and I went up the ranks until becoming the owner of it and developing it
So
until
so
it is today.
when did you know, like, so you kind of in that beginning part of it, right? And so you're only been like playing for maybe 5 or 6 years. Is that kind of?
Well, I mean, maybe I would say maybe 10 years from now.
Oh, okay.
Well, maybe 8 years. As I started quite early, but then I took breaks like everyone, I think, at the start of the game. And
Yeah.
then there was a period like when I was 15, 16 years old, like 5 years ago, where I had like 10 accounts, 12s to play esports with.
Oh, wow.
Holy cow.
Yeah, I played every town hall. I played every competition in many clans. There I
Holy.
learned base building and
What are some of the competitive teams that you were actually a part of back in the day?
basically, as I'm from Belgium, I speak French. This is my first language, and I was part of big French clans that that you
Oh.
probably don't know of. It's called Luba War Team and
Mm-hmm.
Inface. I don't know if you remember like Lenaid from ATN attacks,
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah.
like a long time ago. But now he retired. But it was his clan family. He was part of it, and I didn't play with him. He was like he was there before me, but it's the same clan.
Yeah,
So
the
this is a
French
bit the
the French
background,
have
and
had a lot of really big teams involved with esports over the years.
yeah.
I have not followed the esports team myself, at least not as closely as I know a lot of other players enjoy following. So I don't get on Twitch that much. I don't watch the live streams that much. But what got you into base building specifically?
That was my
Because
question. Yeah.
base building is a completely different animal than doing esports. So we all know about the attacking side. And then back in the day in like 2014, 2015, like we all built our own bases and they all were crap. Like let's just be honest. So what got you into base building? Like did you just start building bases for your clan and for your esports teams and you found that you had a liking for it? And so you just kind of carte blanche became the base builder for your esports team, or how did that evolve over time?
Yeah, like everything, I think it's. I went into it a bit by chance because after the French clan Lubawar team, I joined also a Dutch clan.
Hmm.
Um, but this clan, I didn't know it at the time of joining, was really specialized into building bases.
Interesting.
So with the guys, they taught me how to create bases, and of course, when bases were good after testing, then we used them in esport wars, and
Oh, wow.
it got us some wins and some losses too. But
So
that's part of the game.
did you start building at Town Hall 12 then when Town Hall 12 was max?
Um, I mean, like everyone, I did some bases at Town Online and 10 and 11,
Hmm.
maybe, like way before. But really seriously, it was at Town Hall 12, yeah. And this is still my favorite Town Hall till today. I don't know
So
which Town Hall you play.
so Town Hall 12 is actually it's been one of my favorite town halls for years and years and years, mainly because I love super witches, which interestingly enough, super witches have come back into the meta at Town Hall 16, and they're arguably after the nerfs happen, whenever those happen, they have not happened yet at the time of this recording, but whenever the nerfs happen, Fireball Super Witches may become the number one army for players to use. But the reason why I love Town Hall 12 so much was because of Super Witches. I also know that Hybrid was really powerful at Town Hall 12, Town Hall 13 at that time. Were those the two armies that you were mainly building against? And of course, there was Lalo at that time. But what type of armies were you building against at Town Hall 12?
Well, at my time, there were really three strategies that were really popular. Mostly Zap Witches, like in
Mm-hmm.
line with you place everything in 5 seconds and then you're done with the attack.
Right.
I played this myself actually. And I don't know, I loved it, but I loved it more. I loved it more of baiting it,
Right.
so with bases.
Interesting.
And then of course super riches. Truly, they would never die in attacks. And then the Zap Dragons also. This was
Zap
quite
Dragons.
popular in esports, a little bit less in the casual play in general.
And
Interesting.
so when did you know that you're like, hey, I'm pretty good at this? Were you like good when you started building? Like when you
No,
got
no,
into
no,
this
no.
client? Oh, so you started like
Basically,
me.
yeah. We start from zero. Basically, how anyone has to learn building, it's impossible to do it on your own. There are very few builders that fight it on their own. You always need like a mentor or like a teacher that will review and crack down all your bases for some months and
Oh.
tell you, no, this is not good. Do this instead. Like this compartment is weak for this reason. You should change it, and you do this time and time again for every base you make. And at one time, you will learn the style of the one that is teaching you, and yeah, I guess I still have those fundamentals
It almost
today.
sounds to me like it's this high order of base builders where you have to ascend the mountain. And no, student. This is going to take you time to climb this mountain. And it's a secret order of base builders with the keys to unlock this mystery.
Yeah, truly, it's the only way to learn, really. And there are very few builders that were able to learn on their own, in their own like in their own clan, and we never heard of. Every builder knows every other builder, if that makes sense. And
Yeah. Well, of
One
course,
big
you all
happy
trained on the
family.
same
Yeah.
mountain,
Yeah.
right?
So
So
obviously Town Hall 12 was where you started. So you've been through the metas of Town Hall 13, Town Hall 14, Town Hall 15, and now Town Hall 16. How has that meta changed over the years? Obviously, Town Hall 15 was super friendly for base builders. Town Hall 16 not been so much. But what did Town Hall 13 and Town Hall 14 as well look like for you?
Well, I mean, I love Tunnel 12 for the main reason that all the attacks were like predictable. Like Zapwitch, you can do it from two angles. If the tunnel is on the other side, you have dragons. You can zap in the air defenses in 1,000 ways, or even super witches. Like you enter at the town hall, and there's not much choice. So it was really easy to bait the attacks, or at least test them and take them into consideration. But yeah, then Tunnel 12, no, Tunnel 13, Tunnel 14 came, and the game started to become like I don't know how we can call this, like more diversified and more brutal. There were way more armies. You could attack from anywhere, and then at Tunnel 15, a lot of builders had a good time, I think.
yeah,
Except against super archers. Those were
Okay.
quite a pain to counter.
The Super Archer Blimp?
Yeah, the super archer blimp. Even at the end of Tunnel 14, like in the French community, there was like one clan that only did super archer attacks, but they had like 4 esport teams. So for every French competition, we needed to counter super archers, and that was quite annoying. But for the rest, yeah, then it evolved, and at Tunnel 16, it became the worst tunnel for builders.
So
oh,
I
that
think.
that actually brings up an interesting point because you talk about building bases specific for a team. So if you know that a team likes to use Queen Charge Lalo, for example, which we haven't seen much of since Root Riders have been introduced, but if you know that a team tends to go that direction, then how do you look at, like, you build specific bases for that team, or do you build a genre of bases that are quote unquote anti Lalo, and this genre of bases are quote unquote anti dragons, and this genre is quote unquote anti Root Rider? Like, how do you handle that?
Yeah, well, each team prepares like differently. What we did at the time is first we looked into the bases we already had, if some were usable, if some had like a tendency to defend like Lalo more. Of course, we kept track of which base defended what in wars. And then if we needed new bases, we created them from scratch. And of course, there are some base types that are easier to triple with spam, but then harder with Lalo. Then we have, like, I don't know, I can give you concrete examples. For example, you have box bases. Those were really weak against super archers at Tunnel 14. But people loved them because they were kind of strong against ground spawn and how do we call this, dragons in general.
Right. Yeah, that's super interesting. So the bases that you build are maybe one set of bases for the general population that tends to use more spam, and then another set of bases which are going to use more specifically in esports and maybe high champs, because the players who attack at those levels are typically not doing spam attacks. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, it's not really useful to counter spam if the opposing team don't play spam. So yeah, we in that sense we can focus more specifically on a few armies that they might play, and then use all the traps for this and hope to defend.
So when you're if we go back to like you're on the mountain, you have studied with the masters. When do you start to make money or like to do this as like professionally?
Well, this was the COVID time. Like how world base building started, it isn't my story because I didn't start it. It's the story of a Canadian guy, French Canadian guy during COVID. So he built a lot of bases with his team, and he had too many bases at the moment. So what he did, he opened a server so that his friends could get like his extra bases. As they had nothing to do, they did build bases and test them all day. So this is how it really started in 2020, and how I went into this is I just applied. I just applied to their builder team at the time, and they accepted me. And like this, I started to sell my first bases.
And what was that application back like? Was that like you had to build a base and submit it, or?
Yeah, I mean it's still the same now, but now it's because it has become more rigorous because there are many scammers. We can maybe talk later about it. But yeah, at the time, you just apply. They ask you like a 5 or 10 questions about yourself, about your history in Clash of Clans. Then post a few bases, answer a few questions about them. Sometimes do FC friendly challenge testing, and yeah, if they like your bases, they defend well, they will hire you, and I guess you can start making money of it.
Wow. And for you, what were like the next steps? Like, okay, now this is so you kind of join them, and now you're running world base building.
No, not yet. I just was a builder at the time.
Okay.
But then I actually left. I actually left world base building to go build for a bigger server that had Gaku and Star as builders. It was called Bogly Base Building. So yeah, I just was searching for a place to sell more bases, where you get more recognition for your work, as the other server, world base building, was only French at the time and not in the international community.
Okay.
So you were building for this other base building service for a while. How long?
I mean, maybe 6 months, I would say. I built for them. And
then you decided to come back to world base building after that?
I mean, I got fired, so I didn't get much of a shock.
Sometimes the worst situations present the best opportunities, right?
Yeah, for sure. So basically what happened at Botley Base Building, they wanted to bring like all the Queen Walkers at the time. Like a really big esports team with Gaku, Stars, Klaus, I don't know who was Kazuma and Yata at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to bring them in, but some builders had to leave because otherwise they would have too many builders in the team. So as the new French guy and that no one knows, only plays for French clients, I didn't stand a chance to stay. So I got fired. Then I tried to find like another building slot at Clash Charms. You must know.
Mm-hmm.
You must know.
Yeah.
Then RH base building.
Mm-hmm.
Also in Blueprint, but none of the owners were responding to me or even acknowledging me in their DMs. So and then
Get nervous about another master walking through the mountain.
A black belt.
Yeah.
A black belt in base building.
Yeah, honestly, those people they don't respond to you unless you're a potential customer or a famous guy. So I guess it's fair. They don't have the time, but
yeah.
it's like this. So then the owner of Board Base Building at the time, he wanted to quit the game.
Oh.
As COVID was over, and he wanted to focus on his music career.
And opportunity
and
presented itself.
Yeah, and make his live shows and all. And the opportunity came to take over World Base Building and make it my company.
So what did you do as like you came in and now it's your company? Did you change it at all, or did you kind of?
I did. I fired every builder. That was my first mistake, I guess.
This is like a movie.
Yeah,
Nico
I
walks
fired
in,
everyone and
fired everybody. So you started from
I fired
scratch.
everyone because to start from scratch. And my initial plan was to stay a builder alone, like do all orders myself and
Holy.
have no help from everyone else. But after 1 or 2 weeks, it was like, if I remember right, was it the first week of Town Hall 14?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, around this, but there was a lot of demand and too much demand. I couldn't keep up with the orders. So
after 2 weeks of no sleep.
Yeah, and then I currently I'm in Switzerland. I'm also a student, so I had to study too. So it's not easy to find the time to do everything.
Yeah,
to do
I
everything.
imagine.
So obviously,
who was the first base builder you hired on then after you fired everybody?
someone that applied just at the right time when I realized I made a mistake to fire everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out to be a scammer.
Oh.
That was my first encounter and also a mistake, I guess.
Mm.
I mean, it was a guy that did build also in competitive, but what he did is he sold bases and he used the bases also for himself and his clan.
Oh.
So this isn't really allowed. As when you sell a base, it doesn't belong to you anymore.
Right.
You can't use it anymore, and it's not really honest to keep it to yourself and use it.
So I know that whenever you build bases, you have base building packs, and I see below some of these packs that for example, this pack of 15 bases, which is for CWL this month. This pack of 15 bases will only be sold, and I don't know the number, but will only be sold to 10 clans or something like that. Yeah. Is that how it works?
Yeah. Well, it depends. You have several offers to please every budget and need. I did an effort to like make clear categories of what bases are limited to how many people, because in many other companies it's quite confusing. So you have like the free bases; those are just in our website, like like 30 bases per month. We share in it. Then we have like paid bases, but like really cheap, and those are not limited in number of customers. Then we have the base packs you talked about. Those are limited to 5 to 10 people. So those are a bit more exclusive, but still cheap enough to be worth it to buy for most people. And then for people that really want to push high or want something specific, they can get custom bases, like bases that are made unique to them, and they can test it too. And those are more expensive, of course, but there's some demand, and some people ask for weird things. So
Interesting. So are you
we just make
building?
it.
Can you? And I don't know if you can share this or not, but are you building for any major esports teams right now,
Me myself, or
or
the world base
anybody on
building.
your team?
I mean, every builder builds in world base building and also in a team on the side.
Oh,
Like I don't know if let me see where's builder right now.
So each of
I
your
love
builders are essentially independent contractors where they can work for world-based building. They can also work for Blueprint. They can also build bases for RH at the same time.
We don't allow them to build for another base building company, but they are allowed to play and build for other esports teams.
Okay.
Privately. So, for
Okay.
example, we have Underrated. He helped Clash Champs to win the world championships last year.
Mm-hmm.
He made some bases for the finals. Then we have, for example, Han. He's building for like the top CWL clans that finish like a top 5 every season.
Mm-hmm.
GPS is building for VN Esporting. They were at the Worlds last season too. Leo is actually competing now in the last chance qualifiers, and also big pushers like finishing top 100 reset every season. Then Yazan, and we have like teams like this that build for some of the best teams in the community.
My head is spinning.
So
I'm pretty new to this whole like other part of the world, and as I kind of hear just how big it is, I mean, it always just blows my mind. Like
it's quite big. It's quite big. Like right now, we have I think 35 builders and maybe 10 staff members to coordinate everything. And
well, you tell somebody you play Clash of Clans, and they say, "What's that?" And you say, "Well, it's a game on your phone," and it is unfathomable, like the size of it behind that. And yeah, okay.
The amount of industries,
the
amount of industries that Clash of Clans, the game has started outside of the game itself, like base building companies, YouTubers, tournament organizers,
annoying podcasters.
Because you know those podcasters make so much money on their podcast. I gotta do it for the love.
Yeah, it's quite amazing all the things that are done. But yeah, to outside people, it's really hard to explain what we're doing. Honestly, I had some problems with this to find an accountant and to declare build up a company because no one just understands what we're doing. So
yeah, it's kind of more like it's almost like intellectual property art versus like building something physical. But yeah, that's really wild. And I suppose you're international too, so then you've got other things to think about a little bit, probably.
Yeah, for sure. It's a mess because like you have international clients, but we take only small payments, and then we have to pay people all around the world that don't have a company themselves, and those are also just random people in there. I don't know, that just do things at home. But it's really not. It wasn't easy to get everything settled, and
wow,
it took like 1 year.
That is a lot. So, where are most of your base builders located then?
We have some people from the USA, a lot from Germany. A lot from Germany and also from India.
Awesome.
But you said you don't have enough Indian builders right now. You're looking for more builders from India?
No. They don't have PayPal, so you have to pay them through another way, and this is like through a bank. So just a bank transfer, and it's more complicated, and but it turns out well, and
It's really interesting too, like, how much you learn about this kind of stuff, in doing it. You know what I mean? I'm sure it was a
Yeah,
big
for sure,
learning
for sure.
curve, but how much and even just thinking about that, like, um, being able to put that on your resume, you know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
saying?
That's actually amazing. Um, I don't really care about making money right now. I know I will make plenty of money after my studies are done in 2 years. So right now I really focus on gain experience in managing a project. Yeah, managing all this payment stuff like account doing.
Multinational company.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like this. But I do this in like a like a game. I would say there's not much risk involved, and I can try out stuff. Some stuff
Yeah.
don't work. I learn from my mistakes, and without real stakes into the project.
Yeah, just your time and
So
your energy and your learning, which is a really great thing, I think.
So it
so
sounds
yeah,
like you
basically.
love what you do then.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. But I truly love always doing different things in general. Like
Oh,
if right now I'm really focused into growing our YouTube channel, but I love it because I'm fascinated about learning editing, learning how YouTube works, see how the stats influence the videos, and
Hmm.
all of this. Okay, it's in the Cloud of Plans context, but I'm sure it will be useful later if
yeah. Everything comes
one
back
day
to
I run
serve
some
you.
things.
Yeah, everything comes back
For
to
sure,
serve
for
you in
sure.
the end. What are
Yeah.
you trying to do with your YouTube channel then? Like, what
I
is
mean, at the
as you're
moment, just
growing?
grow it and also get some recognition from Clash of Clans themselves, like becoming a creator, and we just became official content creators in the program, and yeah,
And what
see
kind of
where we go
videos do
from
you
there.
make then?
Well, obviously base links,
Oh, baselinks. Okay.
So
Okay.
base building
base
videos.
links. Yeah, yeah, everything around base building, for sure. We have some live builds also where our builders go live and
Oh.
they explain step by step how they create the base and
Oh, that sounds really cool. I've never seen one of those videos actually.
yeah,
So
they are really interesting.
I have a question. So if you're kind of looking at kind of heading back into the base building and clan thing, are you selling more individual plans? Or are you kind of focusing with so like on the website, like looking at the packages, right? Are you selling more like the whole clan packages, or is it um
Oh,
tend to
like
be
this, yeah.
it is.
Well,
So
we have two popular products. So the first, our flagship product is the CWL pack. We make up to 50 bases per month for this pack,
oh,
and a lot of clubs are getting it. They get 15 bases, 30 bases, sometimes less, sometimes more, but a lot of clubs are getting it. And another big portion of the market are Legends League bases,
hmm
bases to push and to try to defend in Legends League.
so
This we saw also quite a lot
so
of
you
them.
so you kind of see it really like um people. So I'm kind of thinking of House of L, right? And thinking about people and other clans who are starting to kind of dial it up and wanting to advance and start to take things more seriously. Um, Starting to wonder, kind of, is this something that you clans are just as collectively saying, "Hey, here's what we're going to do," or is it people starting to just do their own thing?
What do you mean with doing their own thing?
Well, just like doing like individually buying up,
Oh, buying for themselves only.
yeah, buying for
Yeah,
themselves.
yeah, that's quite interesting. I see differences depending on the community. Like we started in France, and we have still a lot of French customers, maybe 50% of them, while maybe
Mm.
Blueprint don't have any French customers or very few.
Mm.
So So what I remark is that French customers don't share their bases with clanmates. They only buy for themselves, like the 3 base CD will pack. They rarely get like the 15 or 30 base pack. However,
Oh.
if we go look at Americans or Canadians, they tend to buy more for their clan and share with others, or put money together to buy bases.
And is that easier for you as a base building company to say, like, let's say for next CWL, I said House of L is going to do it, and we're going to buy this pack. Is it, do we let you know, like, hey, here's kind of our attackers, or is it I'm kind of wondering if you get
Well,
a little bit of a benefit because I don't know. I guess I'm trying to word my question right.
if one guy is buying, the price per base will be higher. But then if a clan is buying 15 base or so, they will pay less
Okay.
less per base, but more overall. So I think both are fine for us. We have both options, and people do like they want, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of just regular internet bases. So currently House of L is in Masters 2. So if you have a clan maybe who isn't ready to buy bases to be built by a professional base building company, such as World Base Building, how would you recommend that clans that are maybe in Masters 2 who aren't ready to buy bases yet, but maybe will once they reach the higher levels, how do they adjust their bases? Like, do we look on the internet for bases and then move the traps around? Or somebody who's listening, maybe doesn't have the money to buy a professionally built base. Maybe they're free to play. Like, what do you recommend a player in that situation does with their base?
What would you tell little Nico to do?
Okay. So first of all, if you don't have interest in base building, I wouldn't start building bases on your own. But I think everyone should know how to tweak bases and change traps and change a couple of things to make the base better after you use it in real conditions. So how I would go about it is, first of all, go on the internet, on YouTube, or I don't know, websites. Doesn't really matter, or just copy good bases you see in Legend League.
Or the
And
World Base Building YouTube channel?
Yeah, world base
yeah, for
building.
example, is to take bases from all those places and just FC them, like do friendly challenges with them, and if some are promising, run them in wars, and depending on how people attack them in wars, be able to tweak the base to counter the attack that was done in war, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you get tripled always with someone attacking you at 3 o'clock with Root Riders and like the classic army, and it keep coming every war. So in my opinion, everyone should be able to know how to move your traps around to counter Root Riders coming from a specific side.
Are there specific
no idea.
recommendations that you might have just
There
off the top of your
but
head?
those you need to learn. I must be honest, I don't play the game anymore, so I don't have
Mhm.
many recommendations. But it has to do with. I watched, for example, the last live build of one of our base builders, and in there he gave some tips about Wood Riders. So
That's a
basically,
good
you have
idea.
to make them pass around the major defenses of your base. So to make them pass around, you could, for example, use the Teslas to lure the Wood Riders in one direction
Mhm.
and make them go around a Rage Inferno Tower, and then pray they die, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, you should place your traps quite wisely. So, for example, you can place your spring traps outside the base, So when you place the first Valkyries or what are they called? I don't know, ice golems. No, there are no ice golems in the army. So whatever. So if you place your Valkyries, so they spring trap directly.
Yeah.
So that's something to test in friendly challenges to see where to place the spring traps optimally for them to spring when you place them. And then you could, for example, also put your giant bombs in the entry of the base. Like that, they will have to use their warden ability quite early. And then when they're actually inside the base, well, there is no warden ability left. So the defenses will have a easier time to deal with the Root Riders. And there are a lot of methods, I think, that can be employed to do this.
And I think even you saying that, it's kind of like just with our attacks, right? Like you might have an attack, but watching people do the attack starts to make you remember why you're doing it or give you a little bit of insight. And, I look at these bases and I try to make a little adjustments, but I could see how even just studying it a little bit more to get kind of some more of the theory, right? Or just give you a little bit more insight into it, would be really helpful.
Yeah, actually, we have this into place. Like with every base, we deliver like a few lines from the builder that explains what he tried to do with the base and what he countered. And
Yeah.
I don't know if people read those, but they exist.
Oh, so I was just going to say, when does a clan really need to start looking at buying professional bases? Like, would you say Champs 3 or Champs 2? Like, when do you start seeing clans
I
who are
mean,
more serious realizing that these internet bases that they're retrapping aren't going to work anymore? We need to go a professional route.
I mean, honestly, retrapping will always work. You just need the patience and the time and the knowledge to know how to treat the bases and not just copy. Oh, it got tripled one time. I will throw it away. I will copy another one. This won't work at a certain level. So what we offer is to get you bases and also to tweak and adapt them for you against some armies you think are worth it to counter on the base. So yeah, maybe in Champions CWL, it's yeah, most of our customers are playing Champions CWL. If that's a question.
So,
What's good?
My question, and Tip, if I'm stepping on your question, let me know, or we can come back. When in the month would we buy a package? Look, so this is like, okay, House of L is gonna, buy a package for CWL next month. Because as Tip says that, and as you're talking, about tweaks, I'm thinking, how long do you have to kind of prepare? Because if we got the bases, we go through and probably test them on our own, right? Tip, you were saying like friendly battles and stuff like that. Like, what is a good lead time?
We start preparing them actually right after the CWL ends. Then we have our guys like Ghost Knight or Fatal or other people from our staff that go into clans and watch replays and see if the meta changed, like what is more used, what will be used next month, and what should we pay more attention to. And then after this, we make a feedback message to the builders in general. And then we start building the bases for the month after. So I guess around the 12th we start, and then you have 2 or 3 deadlines into place to have time to test the bases and get them ready, I guess. And then they release on the 29th, and then everyone has 2-3 days to use them.
Okay.
What kind of packages do you offer? So, of course, the free bases are free, but of course, that's available to anybody. So, there are literally maybe thousands of people who are running that base, which means it's going to end up on findthespace.com as a easy base to triple. So, the next level of bases is the packages of what, 15 bases? Like, how much would that cost a clan if they're looking at buying that? And then is there other levels that a player or a clan can purchase as well?
I mean, we have the free bases. Then we have our Patreon bases. Those are like not limited to an amount of customers. So 20 people can get them, or one people, or
But
one guy.
only Patreons.
But only Patreons. But you can
Okay.
only be a Patreon for 1 month. Many people do this actually, and then get the bases for that month, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And there we are looking at like maybe $1 or $2 per base.
Mm-hmm.
Then the level above it, it's our base packs. Those are limited to 5 to 10 people, and those are like, for example, our CWL pack, and yeah, for 15 bases, we currently charge $40, which is $2.50 per base.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then the level above it is custom bases. But for custom bases, I wouldn't recommend it for CWL use. It's more for ESL players that want to counter something really specific, like they want a base that only counters, I don't know, Fireball Super Witches, which isn't the most common right now, at least, but may become really popular soon. And also many people for Legends League, because truly in high Legends League bases, they get burned, like you said, on tools like Find This Base or Burn Base. They get burnt really fast, like after 2 days.
Wow.
And actually, we also had the policy to test each of our Legend League bases one day into Legend Leagues, but we had to dive back on it for people that are pushing too high in Legends League, because when it defends like one big name, everyone copies it directly.
Oh.
Yeah, which makes sense. Interesting.
Well, we did get some sneak peeks, and I am kind of curious as to your thoughts and Tip's thoughts. We had a little bit. We kind of brought it up right before we started talking. What are the sneak peeks, Tip, and what do we think about how it's going to change the game?
So the first day of sneak peeks were interesting, but don't really apply to base building. The question that I have for Nico is, in sneak peek number 2, we now see supercharging for certain max defenses. So for anybody listening who hasn't, I'm sure everybody listening has heard of this already, but now it looks like you can supercharge up to 3 buildings, I think it is, or maybe it's all the buildings. I'm not exactly sure, but you can make certain defenses stronger, and it appears the Inferno Tower, Tesla, Scattershot, Mortar, Battle Builder, and Expo, those specific defenses, you can essentially increase their DPS, possibly I'm assuming it's DPS. I'm assuming it's not increasing their HP, but you can increase their DPS. So how will supercharging defenses affect the base building meta? And do you think that base builders are going to recommend, if it's only limited to 3, for example, like, will they recommend that the Inferno Tower, Scattershot, and Expo be the supercharged defenses? Like, have you talked about this at all? I know this just came out literally this morning, so you might not have had a chance to talk to any of your base builders about it. But do you have any thoughts on supercharging?
I didn't talk about it, but I certainly read the sneak peeks, and my thoughts on it is we will have to wait to see how it will be introduced. Like, can you supercharge them at any time? Is it only valid like in Legends League but not in Cloud Wars, or how do you? I guess, when will this be able to be usable?
Right.
In what type of wars, and is it non-stop, or is it like only 3 days per month that people could have supercharged things, or in
Interesting.
continue? So this will really depend on how people will how Supercell will introduce it. And I must say, I didn't really understand much about the schedule and how you would get like those I don't know, what was it, like those potions or
like the
things
hamburger
that
and
will,
the
the
fried hot
hamburger, the
dog.
cake, and like those things to boost your thing. So I guess if it's not really easy to get them, it won't change anything for builders, as except if the customer says like, I want a base and I have this and this supercharge, then we could optimize some things. But for the general audience, like our parks are made for, it will be hard to account for everyone, for people that have supercharged things, for other people that haven't. And maybe we will add recommendations to each base if it's something that is useful. But I think we have to wait maybe a week or a month to see how the meta evolves, and
that is interesting. So I kind of
will
think of
bring to
it.
the game. So
I kind of think of it like a defense's own personal rage tower. So rather than the rage tower affecting, a circle of 3 or 4 defenses, this supercharge will essentially rage that one defense for, a couple days or however long it lasts, which will definitely be interesting because obviously Supercell is seeing that the meta is just so easy right now. And not necessarily, let's be clear, it's not easy necessarily for the casual player, but for the player who's been playing for a while or who's decent. I was telling Scotty before we got on that I'm only at like 5,400 trophies and I'm already getting 3-starred 8 times a day in Legend League, like already at 5,500 trophies, which before was completely unheard of. So hopefully, do you think that Supercell's starting to respond to the fact that players know how to use Root Rider so well now that they got to do something? And rather than introducing new levels to Archer Towers and Cannons, well, here, let's introduce supercharging defenses, and maybe that will help.
yeah, for sure. With the hard mode and like supercharging, like you said, they're trying to find alternative ways to make the game harder, like artificially. But I don't know if it's the right approach. I mean, it's a valid approach in general, but I don't think. Time will tell if it's the right approach. But like you personally, do you use like hard mode in general, like for a seed or?
No, so I don't. I don't do ESL. And I mean, if I do an FC, I will typically do an FC in hard mode, but that's typically the only time that I personally use hard mode. So like hard mode doesn't affect me at all, especially because I'm not an ESL player. So I don't know. Like I would like to see it be a little bit harder for, especially at 5,400 cups. Like 5,400 cups, like that's super low in Legend League. I don't understand how I'm being 3-starred 8 times a day. Now, granted, I'm typically not 3-starring 8 times a day. I'll typically 3-star maybe 6 out of the 8. So I'm doing okay, like I'm holding my own, but it's so discouraging when you're so low in cups and you open up your defensive, you know, record for the day and literally it's 8 3-stars all the way down. It feels almost hopeless. Like you can a more casual and average player such as myself is not able to keep up in any way. So hopefully
Sounds
these
like you need a
supercharged buildings
membership.
will help. Sounds
A
like
membership
I need a membership
package.
to...
You need new bases, huh?
Yeah.
That's true. Very true.
You
Well,
came to the right place.
I actually think that my
Well,
current base is from world based building, but it's from a few months ago actually, because I
well,
pulled
yeah,
it.
the meta evolves quite fast,
Yeah,
especially
true.
in Legends League.
True.
Also, something people realize less is that people not only get used to bases that are the same, but also to concepts to defend.
Right.
Like
Invis towers, for example.
Yeah, for example, Invis towers are bases with 2 Invis towers in the center, and then the town hall, they worked really well for like 2 weeks, and then people start to get used to them, and all of them, they got tripled all day after this. And but there are also more subtle defensive techniques that come into this, like the a base that is defending now, even if there is no balance change, it will probably be defending less in 1 month, if that makes sense, because the meta evolves and the building techniques too, as people invent new things and people get used to the new things that were like new at the time of release.
Yeah, so it definitely looks like I'm gonna need new base. That's
Yeah.
probably
You're gonna
solve
have to do
problem
a
number
test,
one.
Tip.
Yeah, and also a lot of things that people don't realize is the differences between the type of bases. Like legacy bases are not the same as ESL bases, and are not the same as CWL bases. So this you have many customers that are quite surprised when we tell them, well, yeah, our legend builder, he don't know how to build for a CWL. So why do you use his base in CWL?
Oh, good point.
So there were also changes to hard mode in sneak peek number 1,
Yeah,
and I find it really interesting that the hard mode changes were mostly to the equipment themselves. So common equipment is going to be capped at level 15 in hard mode, and epic equipment is now going to be capped at level 21, which means, for instance, the fireball, which is so OP right now, in a lot of professional esports matches, these high damage attacks where a player is using a fireball and they're using the giant arrow and they're doing attacks as quickly as possible. Like that's not going to be necessarily possible anymore because a level 21 fireball is quite different than a level 27 fireball. So, how will these hard mode changes affect you as a base building company?
well, first of all, we saw a lot less of ESL bases since Tunnel 16 and the introduction of hard mode.
Mm,
That's a fact because people are playing specific competition, but every competition has different rules. Some play with hard mode, some play with hard mode, and they ban Hood Riders. Some play with hard mode and they ban, I don't know, like Druids.
Hmm.
And every competition has a different set of rules. So it's impossible to make like one type of base that accommodates for every different
Situation,
situation.
right?
So it's quite hard to sell packs right now. So the only option left, I would say, is to make like custom bases for a specific use for a specific competition.
Mm.
So that's what we're leaning more towards. But yeah, hard mode in general, I don't think I don't know if it's the right approach for Clash of Clans in general. Like how I see it is, it will create like two different games because there are
mm,
people that are only casuals that don't play hard mode at all, and they don't know how to play with the capped heroes, with the defenses that deal more damages, etc. And then we have the competitive side that only plays and only cares about hard mode, I would say.
Mm.
So it's essentially creating two games next to each other that are kind of the same but very different. And I think the how do you call this? Like the transition for a player from one game mode to the other will be
oh,
quite hard.
Yes.
So yeah,
I
what we're
didn't
seeing
think
now
about it
is
that
that
way.
there are no new people that are becoming builders, and there are no new people that are playing esports, or very few people that are really starting competitive esports at the moment. It's always the old same people that keep coming back and that keep qualifying for the things. But yeah, one day they will be gone,
Who will replace them?
and well, no one.
Mhm.
There won't be anyone to replace. And also for the viewers, like on Twitch, when you look at the viewership for the World Championships, they are really low. And I
Mm.
don't think hard mode will help to make viewers come back because of viewers come in the first place because the numbers have always been low because people will have a hard time to identify themselves to the players that are playing the game.
It's true.
If
Yeah.
it's not the same game mode as they are used to play to.
Yeah, it's hard for them, for the regular player to say, "Hey, I could be that." I could see myself, or this is how it translates to my everyday play, and I
Yeah,
see that. Yeah, it is almost like a different tier that kind of separates you because
yeah.
the
Well,
strategy would
no,
be different.
I think they should. I don't know if you know Clash Royale,
Yep,
like the other Supercell game. Well,
yep,
there they had like a tournament mode where commons and epics were capped at a certain level.
yep.
But their introduction was quite nice, I think, because every player had to play those capped modes too. to progress in the game.
Yeah, like you have to test yourself, or like any tournament, you have to use the one thing, so it forces you to use a certain troop and you expose because like me, I like to use the same thing over and over. It just
Oh no, yeah, like this too, but also like what Supercell does now in Clash of Clans is they cap the the equipment level to a certain point, like level 15 for commons, I think,
yeah.
or something like this. But they did the same in Clash Royale for tournaments and also for some game modes. So every player was forced to use the, I guess, hard mode
Oh yeah.
things.
Okay. I see what you're that
So it
it
didn't
became
create
one
like a,
mode.
it
Yeah.
didn't, yeah, it didn't create a separate game to Clash of Clans in general.
And it put both of the players in the same arena too, where you've got the high end people that are really maxed having to play low, and then the lower people are able to to match them on strength
Yeah.
in the like, the same arena, which was I agree. I think that's a really cool way to do it because then you get to see the talent
Mm.
duke it out instead of necessarily just the amount of time or money you put in too.
Yeah, that's the problem too with Clash of Clans. Like, if you're a new player, even if you're the best in the world, if you don't have a Tunnel 16 account, you can't compete.
Right.
Even if you're the new guy with the most potential, you need or $20,000 or 5 years of gameplay to get there.
You know,
So this doesn't encourage the players to.
That's the best way I've heard anybody put it. If you're the best player in the world, you still can't compete at that level.
Do you think that if Clash of Clans introduced a hard mode that forced players to play hard mode once they reached a certain point, that may help solve the problem? So, for example, making Legend League, like you can do it in regular mode all you want below Legend League, but once you reach Legend League, well, that's when hard mode enables. Or, for example, once you reach Champs 3 as a clan, that's when hard mode enables. You think that would connect the audience and the, maybe above average player who's in Champs 3 would connect that player to the World Championships, for example, because right now Champs League is regular mode and Legend League is regular mode. I don't do ESL, so literally there's no opportunity unless I do ESL and I enter a tournament that forces hard mode on the teams. I'm never going to interact with this hard mode, so therefore I'm not going to want to watch the World Championships because they're doing it in hard mode and I'm never going to do that anyway.
Good idea.
Yeah, that's a good way for Tunnel 16s at least. What I thought of also is like the in-game events when you have to attack a base, and I don't know, you get a research potion for it and some gems. Make those like hard mode challenges too.
Oh,
So you get a bit used to, I guess, playing hard mode or some game mode, change some game modes to hard mode. I guess that's the way to go.
Kind of like the builder base where you have to like do challenges.
Yeah.
But
I think this will
to get some of the stuff.
I think this will come in the future, but now they're just testing out how it could work, the hard mode, and how the community uses it, I guess.
Interesting.
It will inevitably come to be a more permanent game format. Maybe not in Legend League, but maybe a new one, or I don't know, hard mode wars after 5 win streak or so.
Yeah,
that is
interesting.
I don't know.
Lots of ideas. So there were some other updates. So there was an update to the clan recruiting system. And to me, it seems like they just copied Clash of Clans Recruit. So you're basically going to be able to recruit in game, it seems like. There was some quality of life improvements. I don't know. Did you have any comments on that?
Well, for the clans, I guess it's a bit useless what they're trying to do because they can't have a social network inside the game for regulation problems in multiple countries. So people will still need to communicate through Discord or Line or I don't know what people use, Telegram or other apps, and there is where most of the recruiting is happening to the like on Facebook groups and all of this. So I don't think it will have a huge impact. And
because they can't be interviewed in game. There's no way to interview and chat with a player before letting them into your clan.
Yeah, for example, yeah, that's a thing, and also there are not enough ways to communicate beside the clan chat.
Right. We can definitely talk about some of the updates next week, Scotty. A lot of the the little snacks or whatever that Supercell's introducing, like that's super interesting, and I'm kind of curious how it's going to be implemented and how it, once we are able to start using it, like how it affects us as players.
Yeah, because like Nico said, how are they gonna be awarded? Like we don't quite know. Well, you probably know by the time the podcast is up. But and Nico, when something like this happens, right? Something supercharged, new defense, or like when Town Hall 17 comes out, how big of a disruption is it to world base building? I mean, is this like we have to super dial down?
Yeah, we see changes in sales because right before an update, no one wants to buy bases, and then after the update, people wait. We adapt to the meta, and then yeah, it's not easy, but we're dealing with it. And right now, I would say the Clash of Clans team is doing a. I don't know if it's a good job, but they do their job really fast. Like there are ballot changes always. There are event troops that are disrupting the game completely.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
So yeah, we need to adapt, constantly adapt and monitor what is used, what changed, and what we should counter. Because right now, more than ever, we have really to choose what army and what entry of that specific army to counter, because it's impossible to counter all Root Rider armies on one base. And same for dragons, I guess, and other armies too.
So as a builder, if you could have anything, any trap, any defensive, how about this? Any defensive trap or something to add to the base, what would you want?
Well, I currently feel that the traps are becoming more and more useless with the vulnerability and all those things that are added, like the invisibility, the overgrowth, and all these things. It makes traps a lot useless. I would like to see a freeze spell, like a trap that freezes your troops, like inside a high DPS zone, and then all defensive firing at it. That's why ice golems are really popular in clan castles, for example, because it freezes the troops inside the base, and all defenses are on that are hammering on it. And
frustrated.
Yeah.
I guess we don't have the tools with currently we don't have the tools to counter Root Riders with traps only. If we compare this to Town Hall 15 or 14, where Super Archer blimps were really popular, there we could actually do something with the traps only to bait something.
Right.
Like, I don't know, you send your blimp in, you put the tornado down, then the blimp, it spins around themselves, and when it stops spinning, you have two black bombs right behind it to pop the blimp like earlier than when the attacker would want to. That's just the most basic trap, and we don't have such trap for Root Riders, so it's quite hard to counter. So maybe we should find something to help defending against them in general.
Is there one defense you wish you could get rid of?
Get rid of?
Yeah, just throw away. Just one you hate.
Hating? Oh, this I will have to think about. Well, until until the flame fingers were introduced, the mortars were quite useless.
Yeah,
right.
They were always on the outside of the base just to I don't know, they all do their job. They already removed like half the cannons. Oh yeah, maybe the geared up defenses. those are useless.
The what ones?
Like when in Builder Hall, you can gear up some defenses in your main village.
Right.
Yeah.
They are not really useful. Maybe the multi-mortar has some use, but even then, it's a mortar. It won't change much to your attack.
Right.
Yeah.
In general.
Well, shout outs.
So I wanted to shout out V-Force. V-Force is, again, a YouTube commenter, has great insight. Not sure if he listens to the podcast, but I really appreciate the comments that he gives. And then everybody who's shown support to the podcast, we always get great feedback in the clan chat and on Discord. Discord has been hopping recently with our Pepe memes. And of course, we have to do the songs. Maybe we can do that next week, Scotty.
Yep,
So,
that's on the plan.
Yep, and shout out to you, Scotty, for handling CWL this week. Like, that's been a lot. I think you've seen how involved it can be. So thank you so much for doing all the work. Like, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. We'll catch up about all that stuff next week. It's been fun. And yeah, there's been just so much going on. Yeah. I'm at a loss.
Yeah.
Nico, how about you? Shout outs?
Well, yeah, thank you for having me on the podcast. It was a pleasure, and we will see how. And good luck for the rest of CWL, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a kind of a rough one with our clan, and I think like where we're at is showing us, okay, we're up against it. We need to start playing the defensive side more, and we've been talking a lot about that. So I'm sure we'll be in touch down the road. And thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. It's so mind blowing to me again, and I'm going to think about this for a long time. Thank you, Tip, for connecting us all and getting Nico here.
Oh, shout out to Ghost Knight for connecting us. Ghost Knight was the one who put me in contact with Nico, so thank you.
And Ghost Knight, shout out to, I'm going to say NM and Awesome Pie Guy and L and I know I'm forgetting some names. They're over in Angry Wookiees right now, kicking some butt. Tyler, and Lady 116, who stopped and dropped some loot off in the clan. Appreciate it. And I've got more shout outs to come next week, but that's what I've got right in front of me. So until next time, everybody, get a hold of us at clashofclanspodcast.com, where you can find all the contact information, or email or call us, or email us at clashofclans@gmail.com, or you can call or text 320-216-2073. That's 320-216-2073. Get a hold of Clash, or get a hold of Tip at no. Follow Tips, Clash Tips podcast, and Clash Tips YouTube channel. And where's the best place for people to get a hold of World Base Building? Is it through the website? Is it an app? What are most people using? Because I see it on the website, but I didn't know if there's a
Discord server.
Discord server. Okay, yeah, I saw that there too. So I was a little.
But we also have YouTube, Patreon, what else? I don't know. Yeah, YouTube, Patreon, and the website, actually. Yeah.
And so you guys do a lot of your stuff through Discord, right?
Most of the stuff is in Discord, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm new to the Discord, I should say. So, thanks. Shout out to all you listeners out there. I hope you had as much fun with this podcast as I did. Keep it clashy, everybody.
Keep it clashy.
Skilly beep 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 skilly beep.